Hello everybody, welcome to our channel. I'm so happy to have you here. My name is Rebecca and today I'm going to show you guys how to make these Easter chicks from the Dollar Tree. So the supplies you're going to need are one of these extra large DIY wood signs as well as one of the small coloring wood signs. You're also going to need a sheet of paper, something to write with, preferably a pencil. You're going to need a few craft sticks, or you can also use one of these easels from these little paint sets that Dollar Tree sells in different seasons. You'll also need a pair of scissors and a hot glue gun. You can also use a Sharpie marker, but that's optional. You could just use black paint, and I'm going to be using the paint that I have on hand. So I'm using the white apple barrel paint, pink. I'm also going to use black, and then I'm using the Waverly paint in pumpkin and a few different shades of yellow paint. You're also going to need a few different sizes of paintbrushes, a few of the small pearls that the Dollar Tree sells, as well as some tulle and ribbon. So let's get crafty. So the first thing you're going to need is your paper, pencil, and your large egg. So you're going to trace out the large egg. It's okay if it doesn't fit on the paper. We're just using this as a template. So I've been seeing all over Pinterest a bunch of these different signs that people are making with these extra large polka dots on it, all different colors and pastels, and really cute. So I thought I would try it myself. I think the best way to space out your dots is to think of what the dice looks like, of the number 5 with the 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom, and 1 dot in the center. And that's how I try to space my dots out, if that helps you guys. So we're pretty much just going in a diagonal, but it is easier to space it out that way when you're kind of thinking of it in that way. So then I'm going to just draw on some little feathers to represent hair at the top. And then for the beak, I'm going to do a rounded triangle, like an upside down triangle. And I like this top rounded out a little bit. For the eyes, I'm drawing 2 large ovals as close to the same size as I can. It doesn't have to be perfect, and I'm going to probably put a few eyelashes on each eye here. And then I decided to make the pupils of the eye kind of low, but I am going to paint those white. For the feet, you want to basically do the same shape as a heart. It just has an extra bump in the middle, and you're going to angle those. But again, you can make this your own and pretty much draw any design you wish for your chick here. I decided to add some wings to mine as well, and then I put in a few places where I'm going to add some highlights. Now you can just paint this on, draw this on your egg, or you can transfer it onto your egg by using a popsicle stick. So just flip your paper over, rub all over, and then you can see that that is going to come up on your wood design, and it is visible through the paint. So you do want to make sure as you're painting, you might want to go back in and do second coats as you go along for like the polka dots and the hair and things, just to make sure you're not going to see that pencil lines when you're completely done. So taking the really light paint, yellow paint, I'm going to start painting a circle and making sure that my brush strokes kind of have like a curved edge to those, just to give it that curved look there. And then I went in with some darker yellow paint around the edges of that bright yellow paint that was in the middle, and I keep getting darker as I work my way towards the edge. And I ended up lightening up that center a little bit just because I thought it was still a little bit too dark, and I really wanted to give it kind of like an ombre effect, just to help give it some detail to make it look more round shape and not so flat when it's hanging up. So I hope you can see the different color variants there as I went around, and you can still see the pencil marks through the paint. I just take a dry brush and kind of blend it all in so I don't just have these harsh lines. Then I went in with some white paint and started painting those polka dots. Now the yellow paint is still a little bit damp, but I kind of liked it that way because I wanted that yellow paint to kind of pick up a little bit with the white so that it blended in, and it was just a very soft white. I didn't want really harsh looking polka dots all over the egg. So once those were dry, I went in with the orange paint to paint the feet. I just kind of trace with the paintbrush around the outside and then fill it in. The edges don't have to be super crisp right now because we are going to go back in and trace those with either some black paint or your Sharpie marker. So now taking some black paint, I just paint those black ovals for the eyes. as close as the same size as I can. Again, they're not going to be perfect unless you use like some kind of a little template or something that you cut out. Now using some light yellow paint, I wanted my wings and my feathers at the top for the head to be a lot lighter in color. So I'm going to use the lightest yellow paint that I have, and again just trim around the outside where I drew first and then fill that in. So once that's all dry, take my black paint and I trace around all the details. Again, if this is completely dry, go ahead and use that Sharpie marker. It works perfectly for this if the paint is completely dry, and it's a lot easier to do in my opinion. I just use the paintbrushes because I already had the paint out. Now mixing in some of the orange paint with a little bit of white to make it lighter, I'm just painting in a few highlights around the beak and the feet. And then I thought that the wings and the feathers at the top looked a little bit bland, so I went in with some darker yellow paint and just added some little swirls and details to help bring it to life a little bit. So now using some watered down paint just to thin it out a little bit, and a fine paintbrush, I'm just drawing these curved lines with 3 little dots just to give it some cute little cartoon like detail around the outside of the egg. And again, you can use a Sharpie marker to do that as well. Then I take a little bit of pink paint on a dry brush, just a tiny little bit, and make some rosy cheeks on my large chick. I did not put the rosy cheeks on the small chick. You're going to see that in a second here. So I painted the back of the chick. It does have these black words on it that were really hard to cover up, so I'm going to cover those up later on, as you guys will see. And I painted it pretty much the same. So now taking my tool, I'm going to cut 4 pieces the same length, about a foot long, and then I am going to stack these right on top of each other to give it some thickness and to help that pink color show up. Then I'm going to fold that in thirds, as you see here, just right over top of itself. Then I gave it 1 turn so that the closed edges were facing me and facing the camera, because I'm going to tie this with some twine, and I want to make sure those closed edges are not the ones that I'm tying, because I want those on my ends. So once you start to pull, just kind of hold that tool down a little bit as you pull, and you'll get these really cute pleats down the center of that bow. And then I'm going to go ahead and just tie a double knot on there. My strings are a little bit long for this bow. I wasn't sure if I was going to need it, so I didn't cut it off quite yet, but I will as we get closer to the end here. Now taking this burlap ribbon with the chevron design from the Dollar Tree, I'm just going to cut those about 10 inches long, dovetail those on each side, and then I'm going to put a small dot of hot glue and fold that in half. Once that's dry, I'm going to basically fan fold this back towards me using hot glue to hold those pieces down. So first I do the top section, and then I'll flip it over and do the bottom section. Once I have that done and it's pretty much dry, what I decided to do was just to fold this in half, and then I'm going to make 2 exactly the same pieces so that I can glue one on either side of that pink tulle bow that I just made a few minutes ago. So once that's pretty much dry, just go ahead and fold that in half, and then you can take a small little dot of hot glue to help hold that together. It is wired ribbon, so it does stay together for the most part, but just to make sure it stayed together, I put a little dot of hot glue. Then I put some extra hot glue on the back, and then just put that right onto the center of the bow on either side. So while that's drying, I just set that aside. I'm going to take some pink ribbon from Dollar Tree. I cut 6 pieces, 6 inches long each, and then I put 1 little dot of hot glue on either side. Once I kind of made a crease right down the center, put a dot of hot glue on either side of that crease, and then just fold it in towards itself on top of that hot glue to get these little loops. And we're going to end up creating a flower with these. You can get away with just doing 4 pieces. I wanted 6 just because I wanted mine to be a little bit fuller. So the way you're going to get your flower is you're just going to start making X's with the hot glue and just keep laying your ribbon and turning it as you go. So once I had the first 4 pieces down, I didn't want the second or the last 2 pieces of ribbon right on top of the first set that I had done, so I staggered those just a little bit between the spaces. It's not going to be perfect, but it was just enough that it kind of helped fill that flower in just a little bit more like I wanted it to be, without it being exactly right on top of each other the whole time, if that makes sense. So then once that was all done, I took one of the larger pearl beads from the Dollar Tree, and I glued that right to the center of that to help create a flower effect. You want to make sure that little openings on the beads are to the side so that you don't see those. So once that was done, I just set that aside, and then I had some smaller pearls that I decided to glue all over the ribbon here. So I guess I ended up using my pearl beads that I had from Hobby Lobby that my neighbor picked up for me the other day on sale, which I was very thankful for, but I do have exactly the same size in the Dollar Tree beads, so you can use either or. They do sell those at the Dollar Tree. So that's the first bow finished, and then I'm just going to take some hot glue and glue that down to the corner of the large chick that I made here. So I pretty much made that smaller chick exactly the same. I just made a smaller bow in blue, as close to the same as I could. It was a little bit smaller, so I wanted to make it not quite as full, and I glued that onto the same area. And that's both of the bows on there completely done. So now for the back. So I'm taking this easel from that little DIY canvas set that I had. They sell them all different seasons. You can find them all year. I'm just going to glue that to the back of this chick. Initially, I wasn't sure if I was going to glue these together. I decided to put those together, and then once I did, it was too heavy, so that easel didn't help hold it up all of the way. So all I did was add some hot glue there, and then I made a small easel with some craft sticks. It's very simple. You just glue half of one to the bottom and then glue the second one at an angle. So then to cover those black words on that small chick, I didn't realize my battery had died. I was just painting away, covering up those words. So I'm going to show you guys how I created that little banner. So all you're going to do is you're going to draw on with your Sharpie marker or some paint a long rectangle. And then at the top of that rectangle, you're going to draw a triangle. Once you have that done, you want to go ahead and fill in those triangles with a darker color that helps create like a shadow effect, and that's going to make it look like the ribbon is folded backwards. And then we're going to draw the ends of the ribbon. So at the top of that triangle, draw a line straight out about 1/2 inch or longer. It's really up to you. And then about midway down that first rectangle, you're going to draw another line, and that's going to be the bottom piece of that ribbon. And then just draw some dovetails on either side, and you've created a 3D ribbon. And that's what I did for the little sign on the front to hide those words that I couldn't get off. So for the font, I just did some tall, skinny letters, and I like to do the little crossbars of the letters way down at the bottom. It's kind of like the skinny type font. If you have a Cricut, you'll know what that is. So I just pretty much did the best I could. I'm not the best at hand lettering, I will admit. So I just kind of came up with that. I like the way it looked, and so that is how I covered up those words on the little chick. And that is it, you guys. This is the close-up of the bow for the small chick, the bow for the large one. Here's some close-ups of the eyes. I did add some little highlights to the eyes over at the side, a close-up of the wings and the highlights on the beak, and as well as the feet, and then the little lines around the outside there. And here they are completely finished. I had so much fun making these for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Like and share. That would really help me out. And here are some other videos from our channel you might also enjoy. Have a great day.